I made a TikTok yesterday about traditional publishing and how it doesn't actually move the needle. Honestly, at this point, the script has flipped where self-publishing used to be the vanity press, so you could have your book in print, so you could show your friends and family. Now traditional publishing is, I have a publisher, it's the vanity press, and most people actually around there don't sell books, don't make any money doing it. It's just a big clout structure that really doesn't go anywhere. I'm talking about this because I actually got someone going off on me from the traditional publishing establishment in the last couple of days. I haven't interacted with him. Just some people were throwing shade at me, and he just lost it. And he actually kind of failed out because he chased that clout for a long, long time, didn't sell books. So I'm going to kind of go over this, and there's been a couple examples lately where I've seen this where it just does not do anything. These companies do not have marketing apparatuses. They don't promote you unless you're already a bestseller. They don't put money into you. They only put money into what's already making money, because the companies that have a Brandon Sanderson have like one or two or three authors who fund 90% of the rest of the company that's actually losing money. That's how the publishing industry works. And so the people who are down at the bottom, they fail out more often than not. I can count a lot of people who have worked for Tor Books, for Baen Books, for Del Rey, for lots of different publishing companies, and have just got their contracts and failed out. They got a little bit of money up front. It seemed pretty nice. And now they're not even writing books anymore. It's really, really sad to watch, but this is the absolute state. You have to get with the times and change the way you do things and change the way you think if you want to win. So let's get into this news. Pretty interesting on TikTok. Yeah, I started at TikTok. I'll put that link in the description below if you want to follow it. It's growing pretty quickly. I've only uploaded for about a week, just giving little snippets on publishing and the like. So that's in the description if you want to grab that. But I also want you to sign up for my newsletter, because the algorithm on here has gotten really weird, guys. I've noticed, like TikTok, I upload for a week, my videos are getting 1,000 views already, and I've got over 100 followers. And it's like they actually want people to see the content over there. It's kind of weird. Over here, it's not the case. I might never find you again. But I'm an author myself, and I'd like you to sign up for my newsletter so I don't lose you, because I have some great stuff coming out in the future. I just write like a madman, so it's great to be a fan here. I write science fiction and fantasy and comic books. We have new stuff coming out all the time. It's in the description below, and you get 3 free books just for signing up. You get a sci-fi novel, a fantasy novel, and a full graphic novel of my superhero stuff. This is guerrilla marketing right here, and I get to stay in touch with you. I love to, when I write these newsletters and people respond, I love to interact with you guys. You're amazing, and I appreciate you, and that's kind of the way we're doing things. We're building a real community here, and that's why, of course, our books are selling very, very well. I mentioned earlier in the week that we had 2 Amazon bestsellers going on, and I've sold a lot of books this month, over 1,000 so far, and it's been amazing. And so this is all just being done just from talking on YouTube, from building an audience, from talking with my people on Discord, through my newsletter, and it's all done through this cool little marketing apparatus here that's being done. And so I noticed this week that there's somebody very high up in traditional publishing who I've kind of followed for a long time, and I'm not going to name the names, and I didn't name the name on the TikTok or anything like that, because I don't want to hurt anybody or hurt their feelings or anything like that. Good writer. This has nothing to do with quality of work or anything like that, and actually pretty genial person as well. So this book came out, and this person, like I said, is very high up in the publishing establishment. I watched this book on its Amazon ranks go up, get put out, and it sold less than 50 copies. And it's like, whoa, how did this person become high up in a publishing company? Like, get all of that clout around him, have all of these people going on who like are friends who are like big best-selling authors and the like, and yet have it published through the mainstream company and just have a dud where you just don't sell any books. It's crazy. But I commented on this before because I noticed a couple weeks ago, a company, Baen Books, came out with a book by a new author, and I watched as the book came out, and it was very clear that, like, even in the first couple of days, it didn't even sell 1 copy. Well, all they did was put it up on their website and say that it's out. They didn't actually market it. They had no marketing apparatus. They just let the person just see if it's going to sell. Well, I mean, at this point, there's so much content out there. There's so many books. There's so many options that you can't just put things up and just expect it to sell. This is a nice thread done by Kova Magazine, who actually talked about this earlier days. He says, in the past, I've talked about the continued downward pressure on the market value of fiction to limited things that we've done in our part in combating it. There is a ton of written fiction out there, and the body of written fiction is growing at an unfathomable rate as new authors continue to add to it. The actual readership probably does not grow at any remotely corresponding rate of the body of fiction, and avid readers have limited budgets and bandwidth. So you have to cut through the noise. You really have to be out there marketing. A publishing company, just because it's at a company now, there isn't anybody who's going, oh, wow, that's with Baen Books, so that's a quality book that's better than somebody who's just self-publishing it. That is not the market anymore. And so you can't just rely on that alone to sell you books. And so I've got some people kind of mad at me about this. This is Brad Torgersen from Baen Books. And this is kind of a sad story about this because Brad, again, is a really good author. His prose is excellent. He has really interesting science fiction ideas that I've read a couple of his books and really enjoyed them. And this is just like where he's at because he's very bitter at the publishing industry right now as he's spent his entire career going at this stuff. But if you notice, this is what the publishing industry I guess, encourages. This is the kind of behavior they go to. And somebody made some weird like AI comic book about me, and he was talking about how JDA is a grifter without a moral compass. Whatever. People just say that to me. And I don't like this person at this juncture on the internet. Very sad. He continually rubs various creators and fans wrong as he drifts through the subgenres. While he brands himself as anti-woke, has taught a great many of us who's seriously anti-woke, and actually some has taught a great many of us who are seriously anti-woke and have some pro-cred in the arts to deeply dislike him. Now look at that statement. There's a lot to unpack there. That was hard to read. It's not indicative of his fiction writing. Like I said, his fiction writing is very good. He calls me a harmful pest here. And this is because I talk about the traditional publishing establishment. Now, unfortunately, like Torgersen came up in the arts, and he came up in a time where the Hugo Awards still meant something to some people. He came up through Baen Books and all that. He got his like award early on. I think he got the Joseph Campbell Award. Most people don't even know what that means now. And that's what he means by pro-cred, professional credentials in the art. He joined SFWA. He was a part of the organizations. None of that matters anymore. Nobody cares. Pro-cred in the arts doesn't mean anything. And so what happened is he's come out with a couple books over the years. They didn't perform very well. He eventually lost his publishing contract with Baen Books. Really hasn't come out with anything very substantive in a couple of years. He teamed up with a indie author who has a big name. That guy made some money off the books, and like he's really not a professional author full-time. That's not what he's doing now. So his pro-cred in the arts really didn't get him anywhere. It didn't make him any money. I've actually sold more books this year than he's probably sold his entire career. And that's what's got him upset. I'm not supposed to. I didn't have the authority. I wasn't given the green light by the pro-cred in the arts. And so the pro-cred in the arts literally means nothing these days. Like I said, traditional publishing is vanity press. I mentioned the guy earlier who just has sold less than 50 books this week on his release. Big person in publishing. I mentioned the person from Baen Books a couple weeks ago who released something, sold less than any copies on release day. This is not a thing that's going on anymore. These people are struggling because this system doesn't work anymore. It doesn't matter if you have the potential to get your book in a bookstore if nobody knows it's coming out, if nobody knows who you are. That credential, the pro-cred in the arts, doesn't mean squat anymore. What does mean something is connecting with an audience, actually growing with people, and having people spread via word of mouth because they're actually reading the books. That's what we've got going here. And you could do that all on your own at this point. That's why I advocate in this video for self-publishing. Do it yourself, as I say in the video. If you contract with a major publishing company, here's what you get. You have to bring an agent in. That agent's going to take 25% of your cut at the end of it. The publisher, at the very best, is going to go 50-50 with you. So if you already lose 50% of your cut, and then you only get 75% of that cut, you're really not getting very much per book. You're going to get like 20, 30 cents per book when you sell. You have to sell a lot of books to make a living at that. If you want to make even $50,000 a year, which is not great living here in California, I got to tell you, at that point, you got to sell like 200,000 books in a year. There's nobody doing that in science fiction and fantasy. My top sellers sold 30,000 books. It's doing very, very well, but I keep all of the profits of that. So when you get that at about $4 a book on Amazon, I mean, I do pretty well on that one book alone, and it keeps selling as my back catalog forever, and I keep getting all of the profits for it for zero expense. That's what's got people mad, I guess, because you're not supposed to do it this way. You aren't supposed to be able to do this. And so I actually had a comment. Michael Avon Omig is in the comic book industry, very storied artist, and I actually said I love your work because I do. I think he's a great artist. And he says this is very painful, but true. Somebody inside publishing right there absolutely knows that this is the case right here because this is what's going on. It's got people bitter. It's got people upset, and they just aren't getting with the times because they were taught growing up as they were going into this stuff, and this is kind of a Gen X thing. I think Gen Y and forward kind of don't have this credentialism sort of thing, the pro-cred in the arts sort of mentality. But they do. They got that instilled in them that you have to have a publisher validate you in order to be a real author. You need to win this award in the Hugos, and then you're a top real pro-cred author. And even though, like, it's silly because Brad Torgersen got his kind of claim to fame by fighting the Hugos at that before he kind of backed out of everything, they still want that credentialism more than anything. They want to hold that up, and they want to hang it over people's heads. Here's the deal. Readers do not care. They will never care. Don't try to get traditionally published at this point. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help anybody else. And yeah, like I said, I know some authors, some good friends who have gotten traditional publishing contracts in the past. What they do is they give you an advance of like $2,000 for your book. And they say, look, once it earns past that advance, you start getting royalties on these things. 90% of books never earn past their advance. Even if you get in there, like I said, the agent takes 25% of that. You're getting $1,500. How long does it take to write a book? There's no way that's worth it. Do it yourself. At least you own your own thing. All right. There's my rah-rah for you today. I've seen so many people win via self-publishing and not care about the credentialism, not caring about pro-cred in the arts. I laugh at it. I think it's a joke. And that's why I frustrate them over there, because this message is real. It's very, very true. Listen to Michael Avon Omig. I mean, he's been in the comic industry for a long time, and he knows better than anybody. It's because the world's changed these days, and we got to keep moving with it. Thanks for being here, guys. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I do have a bookstore down below if you want to support, but the most important thing I'd like you to do, sign up for my newsletter, get 3 free books on me. These are great, and it's a great way for me to, of course, get in touch with you guys. Thanks for being there. That's in the description below, as I said. We'll be back soon.